It often, for me, since I tend to write a lot of fantasy, it often revolves around the magic. I start there because magic is going to be inherent. One of the problems with urban fantasy is the idea that if magic has always been around, or to some degree, then why would we have an urban technology civilization where magic is also present? Because magic would solve or replace a lot of the things. If you could cast a spell to talk to somebody across the world, why would you ever have cell phones? Things like that. If you could levitate, why would we have planes? Things of that nature. You have to understand how the magic works, what the cost of the magic is, who can use the magic, how accessible it is, and therefore understand the limitations and the possibilities of it that then informs what your world can look like. If magic is incredibly restrictive and incredibly high cost, i.e. you cast one spell and you die, well then that might give rise to some more need for technological solutions instead of just magical ones. Okay, so if you...
One hell of a phone call you want to make.
Whereas if everyone can use magic and everyone can do whatever, then there won't be as much of a technological rise. It will be a magiological rise of society. So again, for me, it often begins with what drives the world, where is the power source of that world, and then you build up from there. You build up from what's the economy base? Where do people get their main resources? What do people go to war over? Are there religions? Is there a God? Or is this an atheistic world? Those are things that you just start asking the what's and the whys, and you build up kind of from a macro scale, and then you just start getting micro down to the point where you're developing a city, and then you develop a neighborhood, and then you figure out what characters are going to be important to the story that you're trying to tell.
I'll do a quick little plug and then I'll summarize everything so you don't even need to buy the book. I did write a book called World Building from Small Towns to Entire Universes, so you can pull it up and that's why he's on this $10 or something. But not being a wise person, I didn't bring any copies to sell. So again, it's World Building from Small Towns to Entire Universes. So I've got a whole bunch of, it's an acronym and it's things that you remember when you're building it. And I'll do the abridged version of it. The acronym that I learned when my kid was in social studies in 4th grade, and the teacher gave them this acronym called Persia. And if you're trying to understand a society, you need to understand the letters in Persian. You need to understand P, politics. You need to understand, well, politics. Is it a monarchy? Is it a council-driven? Is it a matriarchy? How is it? Who runs the land you're in? Politics. E is for economics. What is the money? What do they sell? How do they eat? What is unique about that kingdom? Do they have a corner on the yak butter market? I mean, what do they do? What is, because unless you're just living in the woods and you hunt and find your food and you grow your own vegetables and that's all you do, a society is based on economics. People need to do things to earn a living. R is religion. Is it, like Josh said, is it an atheistic society? Is there a single God? Is there multiple gods? And there are multiple gods? Are they at war with each other? You know, a billion stories can be written about warring gods and religions and stuff. PERS is society. What kind of society is it? Is it repressive? Is it like gypsy caravans? Are they all free and equal? Or is it a Stalinist, communist kind of society? How are women treated? How is, are there classes? Do they, think about it, do they trust intelligence? Do they trust, well, that's the next one. Society is all kinds of, like, do they care for the old people? Do they care for the sick people? Or do they go, you're useless and you're being thrown out? That's society. I is intelligentsia, so that's, what do they do? Do they know science? Do they know that the earth goes around the sun? Or do they think that it's a god in a chariot that goes over the horizon every night? Do they trust scientists or do they burn them at the stake? Do they treat education as in everybody should have it, or is that only something that the priesthood should have? And then A is the arts. Do they like music? Do they not like music? Do they do paintings and sculptures and all that? If you start describing your society thinking of the PERSIA, those categories, you will come up with a pretty well fleshed out version of your world. And as you think of something in one category, you'll come up with an idea for the next category, and it'll go back and forth. And pretty soon you will have far more than you should ever incorporate into